Hi, sixth graders. This is lesson 9.3, Measures of Center. Measures of center are measures that describe the typical value of a data set. We already know about one type of measure of center, which is the mean. And there are two other measures of center that we're going to talk about today. Those are median and mode. So to find the median, you're looking for the data value that's in the middle. To do this, you have to order your data from least to greatest, and the median is the very middle value. The mode is the data value that occurs the most often. So notice that I have underlined the MO in mode and the MO in most. That helps me remember that those go together. So mode is the one that occurs the most often. Data can have one mode, or it can have more than one mode, or data could have no mode. There could be nothing that repeats in a data set. So your two new measures of center that you've learned today are median and mode. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and use this data set to find the median and the mode of the data. The first thing you have to do when you're going to try to find median and mode is you have to order your data from least to greatest. Right now my data is not ordered from least to greatest, so I need to do that before I can do anything else. So I see a 4, a 5, an 8. Okay, so I have my data ordered from least to greatest. Remember, the median is the middle, and the mode is the one that occurs the most often. You can tell just by looking at your data set what the mode is. You're probably noticing that 20 appears twice, and it's the only one that appears twice, so it's your mode. Now to find the median, you're looking for the one in the middle. So to do that, you're just going to strike one off the front, strike one off the back, strike one off the front, strike one off the back. And you're left with 12, so you know your median is 12. So my median. Okay, so next example, we're going to find the median and mode of this data set. I went ahead and ordered my data from least to greatest, and I do not see a mode. This time there is no mode. There's nothing that appears more than once. That will happen sometimes. You will sometimes have a data set that has no mode. Sometimes you'll have a data set that has more than one mode. Let's talk about median. To find the median, I'm going to strike one off the front, strike one off the back, strike one off the front, strike one off the back. And you notice that there are two left in the middle because this data set had an even number of data points. So what I'm going to do in this situation is I'm going to find the mean of those two data values. So 100 plus 90 would be 190, divided by 2, and I get 95. So when you have an even number of data values, you will have to find the mean of the middle two to find your median. Let's look at this example together. It says the list shows the favorite types of movies for students in a class. Organize the data in a frequency table and then find the mode. So we've started with this list of data, and everybody's favorite type of movie is just listed. So we are taking this data and we're going to put it in a frequency table, which is where you get a tally for every time a type of movie appears, and you can see the frequency much more easily. Looking at this frequency table, you can very easily see that the mode is comedy, because the comedy is the movie category that got the most votes. Look at example number 3. It says one member of the class was absent and ends up voting for horror. Does this change the mode? And explain. It would change the mode, because then you would have 8 votes for horror and 8 votes for comedy. So then you would have 2 modes. Comedy and horror would both be modes. This example says to find the mean, median, and mode of the sneaker prices, and then decide which measure best represents the data. So our sneakers are over here, and we can see there's a pretty big range of sneaker prices. They range from $20 to $122. So we need to figure out which measure would best represent the data. If we found the mean of the data, we added all the prices up and divided by 8 because there's 8 pairs of shoes. Our mean price would be $48.50. If I found the median, I would order my data from least to greatest, and my 2 middle values were 37 and 45. So I found the mean of those two and got 41. The mode is the one that occurs the most often, and 20 occurred the most often. So I have to decide which value best represents the data. Well, I don't think that 20, the mode, is the best representation of this data, because the mode is the one that occurs the most often, but the one that occurs the most often is definitely the lowest price. And there are several shoes that are in the $45 to $48 to $30 range, and so $20 does not represent this data. Next, I have the median of 41 and the mean of 48.5. They're very similar, they're very close to each other, but I feel that the median best represents this data. The mode, as we've already talked about, is less than most of the data, and the mean this time is greater than most of the data. So even though the median and the mean are very close, I'm going to go with the median as the best representation of this data set. Okay, I'm going to have you try one example on your own, and then you'll be ready to start your 9.3 assignment. The directions say find the mean, median, and mode of the data, and choose the measure that best represents the data. Explain your reasoning. So you can use your calculator on this. Obviously, you don't really need your calculator for mode. You might need it for median if you have to find a mean for your median, and you can use your calculator for mean. So go ahead, work this problem. Press pause as you work it. When you're ready to check your answer, press play. Okay, so first I did the mean. I added 1 plus 93 plus 46 plus 48 plus 34 and so on. Once I had my sum, I divided by 8 because there are 8 data points, and I got a mean of 67 and 25 hundredths, or 67.2. Next, I need to find the median. So to do that, I ordered my data from least to greatest. Median is the middle, so I'm taking one off the front, one off the back, one off the front, one off the back, and I have 2 in the middle. So I have to find the mean of 48 and 55. I'm going to use my calculator for that. 48 plus 55 is 103. Divide by 2 is 51 and a half. So my median is 51 and a half. And looking at my data set, there is nothing that appears more than once, so there is no mode. The instructions said to choose the measure that best represents the data. So I feel that the median best represents this data. It's closer to more of the data because the mean is influenced by outliers. We have some pretty obvious outliers, 1 and 194. So our mean is going to be really affected by those. So I'm going to go with the median for the best representation of the data.